Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you?
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're discussing the Alex Garland A24 film Civil War. In these ever more divided times, could a similar series of events actually take place in the United States of America? This is a hot-button political topic, especially as 2024 is an election year. So we ask that you let us know your thoughts respectfully in the comments below.
The idea of a civil war is truly terrifying. Learn about the devastating implications of one with up to 32 players in the USA Battleground scenario for Conflict of Nations, a free online PvP strategy game that brings your tactical skills to life. Assemble your army with modern artillery like fighter jets, tanks, nuclear submarines, and stealth and special forces units. Declare war or build alliances. The choice is yours. Engage in epic battles with up to 128 players and strive for global domination, or work to reunite America. Build your army in states like Texas or California, or command the armies of nations like Canada and Mexico. Victory depends on your military might and strategic prowess. Play seamlessly on PC and mobile with a single account. And for a limited time, get an exclusive gift of 13,000 gold and a month of premium subscription for free by clicking my link in the description. But hurry, this offer lasts only 30 days. Download Conflict of Nations now and fight for your freedom.
Prior to its wide release, Civil War quickly became a smash hit with critics.
Critics are raving about the movie event of the year.
In an era where the partisan divide is seemingly deeper than it has been in decades, the film examines the plight of those trapped between warring factions.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
Light on exposition, Garland chooses to instead focus on the conflict midstream. Here is what we do know about the state of play in Alex Garland's United States. The country is embroiled in a rapidly escalating war between the federal government and separatist factions.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
Texas and California, the two most populous states in the Union, have split off together to form the Western forces. Meanwhile, Florida and some neighboring states have joined the Florida Alliance. The specific aims and beliefs of these groups are left deliberately ambiguous.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
All we know for sure is that they are all at odds with Nick Offerman, a dictatorial president of the United States. In his third term, this president seemingly spends his days recreating the "this is fine" meme in nationally televised addresses.
This is fine.
Domestic terrorism and fear have spread everywhere.
God bless America.
Could this happen in real life? To answer that, we need to examine both the structures of the U.S. government and the partisan makeup of America. First, would a modern-day civil war resemble Alex Garland's apocalyptic vision? The short answer is both yes and no. Let's start with Nick Offerman's president with total power, who appears to have precipitated this deadly rift.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
No president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt has served more than 2 terms.
As if that wasn't enough, he won a 4th term.
That is thanks to the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, passed in 1951, officially setting a term limit on America's highest office. Overturning it legally would require either a constitutional convention or passage of a new amendment. While certainly possible, both are long, drawn-out processes requiring a level of debate and deliberation that could easily kill such an effort in its infancy.
Presidential term limits are here and are unlikely to change anytime soon.
That means if a would-be dictator president wanted to remain in power illegally, they'd need to resort to violence. America received its first taste of such an event on January 6, 2021.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
The supporters of then-President Donald Trump attempted to disrupt the certification of the election results by storming the U.S. Capitol. The former president himself was later indicted for his alleged role in the insurrection. Notably, he had to rely on the actions of private citizens for his alleged attempted coup. The organs of government were not at his disposal at the time, though it wasn't for lack of trying. Claiming that the election had been rigged, Trump had led a campaign to overturn the results and reinstall himself as president.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
This included pressuring state and federal officials, including the Department of Justice, and filing over 60 lawsuits, almost all of which were dropped or dismissed.
President Trump has exhausted all plausible legal options to challenge the results of the presidential race in Pennsylvania.
Trump's call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to, quote, find more votes has become infamous. Fortunately, illegal orders were circumvented. Institutions held fast.
Even Trump allies now criticizing the president's post-election efforts to overturn the results.
Those structural safeguards could easily disappear. Conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation and other allied organizations have put forth an authoritarian vision for the future called Project 2025.
This time, we have a secret weapon. This time, we have Project 2025.
If enacted, thousands of professionals and experts across the federal government would likely be purged. Their replacements, loyalists who declare fealty to the new boss, potentially even over the Constitution. That's particularly scary when it comes to the Justice Department and the military.
A chilling sign that loyalty is being prized above all else.
With yes men in charge of the chain of command, who would say no to orders to jail or even shoot protesters? What if the military received those orders? As it currently stands, there are institutions and laws in place to check such impulses, such as the Posse Comitatus Act, which severely limits the use of the military on American soil. Unfortunately, there are also plans in place to spend the next 4 years destroying those institutions. If successful, and with enough buy-in from military commanders and prosecutors, the government could violently end the peaceful transfer of power. With half the populace in support, they could even get away with it.
How dangerous is it, and how close would that take us to just absolute authoritarianism?
Well, I think it's highly dangerous.
But unlike Alex Garland's film and the original Civil War, the geography and causes of America's current partisan divide are not so clear-cut. In 1861, a century of economic and cultural divisions over slavery cleaved the country pretty much in half geographically.
On the 12th of April, 1861, hostilities began with the bombardment of Fort Sumter.
It's natural for filmmakers, as a shorthand for an American audience, to describe division in those state versus state terms. The reality is a much more complicated tapestry. In the almost 2 centuries since the Civil War, American politics have evolved beyond a simple North versus South dichotomy. From a 10,000-foot view, yes, there is red state America and blue state America. The truth on the ground, however, isn't quite so simple. The political map of every city and state is more gradient than binary. Broadly speaking, cities and dense urban metropolitan areas tend to be blue and Democrat. Conversely, less dense rural areas tend to be red and Republican. The places in between are purple, often swinging between one political party and the other.
They're so evenly divided, they could tip toward either party.
Setting aside the unlikelihood of a political and military alliance between California and Texas, they serve as the best examples of this evolving trend. The Republican Party has for decades used the Texas government and its courts as laboratories for conservative legislation. Despite this, major metropolitan areas like Dallas, Houston, and Austin have become bluer every election. Conversely, there are millions of Republicans and conservatives in California. In point of fact, Donald Trump received more votes in California than in any other state in 2020.
Trump got more votes in California than any other state in the nation.
In the many decades and generations since the American Civil War, much about America has changed. The women's suffrage and civil rights movements expanded the voice of the nation. More importantly, even as the partisan divide grows deeper, Americans' interdependence on one another expands. Red rural America is the breadbasket of the nation. Conservative America feeds both the nation and a good portion of the world. At the same time, blue cities and states are the economic engine of both the country and the planet, helping to make the United States the richest country in the history of the world, even if those riches are not dispersed equitably. States breaking away from one another isn't as practical as it was in the 1860s. There are red and blue divides within states that would cause internal conflict and strife. Our economies and supply chains rely upon one another, and disruptions would cause immediate internal divisions within any rebellious factions. It's true. The events of the 2010s and 2020 so far and the spread of misinformation online have highlighted major weaknesses in American culture. Bad actors have used modern technology and major events like the COVID pandemic to sow discord between neighbors. But ultimately, all of the people on the planet are neighbors. Our connections and reliance on one another are what give us a chance to overcome and bridge any differences we may have. More importantly, they are bonds that massively reduce the likelihood, despite the machinations of politics, of Alex Garland-esque civil war, we hope.
I'm worried about that girl, and I'm worried about you too.
Conflict of Nations is a free online PvP strategy game happening in modern global warfare where you can strategize on a global and local scale. Click on the link in the description to get 13,000 gold and 1 month of premium subscription for free. Offer only available for 30 days, so don't waste time. Click my link in the description, choose your country, and fight your way to victory.
Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.